All right. Welcome to Arkham. I hope everybody is having a blessed night. So I thought it's only fitting that for my 50th episode of Arkham that we would be celebrating the news that Roe v. Wade has been overturned. When I first started Arkham, I started this channel, this page, because New York State passed a law that would allow babies to be murdered into the third trimester for health reasons. And when they lit that Empire State Building up pink in celebration of passing the Reproductive Healthcare Act, I knew that I had to do something. I knew that I had to get involved in a way that I hadn't been involved before. And that led me to starting Arkham. And when I started this, I never thought that I would actually be seeing Roe v. Wade overturned. But that day is here, and I couldn't be more excited. It has been a long road to get here, but it's finally here. And today we celebrate the end of a 50-year-long battle to preserve the lives of our most vulnerable. We celebrate a victory we never should, in a fight we never should have been in to begin with. And we celebrate as millions of babies all over the country get an opportunity at this beautiful thing called life. This is just absolutely incredible. And I just find it amazing, and I am in awe. I really am. I was overjoyed today that this happened, because I didn't think that it would happen. And the crazy thing is, I've actually always been against abortion, even as I was young, and even before I believed in God, I was against abortion, because I could recognize that it was ending the life of another human being, of an unborn baby. And now we're here, and it kind of seems surreal. It kind of seems just like it's not happening. Like I just cannot believe it. And I was thinking that I haven't been in this fight very long, but there are people that have. There are people that have been in this fight since day one, since Roe versus Wade was first codified into law. And I was thinking about all the people that had gone before us, and who were praying for this day to come, praying for the lives of our unborn, and finally we're seeing those prayers answered. Finally, we are seeing the answer to years and years of prayer. And I just think, like, man, those people are heroic. Like, the dedication that they had praying all these years, because some people have been praying for 50 years to see that this happen. 50 years, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't really start getting active in this, like really active, where I was praying constantly for it until the Reproductive Healthcare Act. Until then, I would make a comment here and there, but I wasn't really in it. And I just find those people that had been praying all this time to be heroic, to just be incredible. And in many ways, I feel like I've just joined the fight. But I can recognize that there have been people in this for a heck of a lot longer than I have, and I think those people are beautiful, and I'm moved by them. I'm moved by what they've done and the dedication that they've had, and their just overall commitment to the pro-life cause. I had the opportunity to work, for a short period of time with a crisis pregnancy center, and the women there were just incredible. They were just absolutely incredible. They were committed to helping women in every way humanly possible. They would pay rent. They would make sure they had food every holiday, or just in general. They always had a pantry full of baby formula and diapers and whatever a mother needed. They were there to fill in the gap. They were there to meet their needs. They were there to actually take care of mothers and their children. Now, that's not what the radical left will tell you, but contrary to what they say, no, pro-lifers actually do want to see mothers and their babies thrive, and we care for them well after they're born. We're pro-life from the womb to the tomb. We really do care, and we really do want to see them live and have an abundant life. I think in that regard, crisis pregnancy centers and churches definitely do a lot. And of course, we could always do more. And of course, I encourage every church to do more if they can. Do whatever it takes to provide for these mothers and their children because they're going to need it. But anyway, I watched this pro-life center just serve their community. I also watched as they prayed week after week against the Planned Parenthood that was right across the street from them. And I just remember being moved, because there was a couple times where I was actually part of their prayer vigil, and I was just moved by their commitment. And there are people across the street saying all sorts of nasty things to them, but they stood steadfast in their commitment to prayer and their commitment to supporting women in that community. And one of the most beautiful things is that Planned Parenthood ended up shutting its doors for good. Years and years of prayer, and then that Planned Parenthood went out of business. And I just think that's incredible. That's awesome. And God hears our prayers, and I believe that he moves on behalf of us, of his people. And one thing that we cannot underestimate is the power of prayer. See, God takes no delight in the shedding of innocent blood. And I believe our prayers and the lives of these innocent unborn babies cried out to him. And against all odds, he gave us this victory. And I really do think that it is quite incredible that despite the pro-abortion advocates holding nearly every lever of power, they were powerless to stop this. But little is much when God is in it, and God is in this fight. Just, we care deeply. We love these babies and these women deeply. I cannot even fathom the level of love that God has for them and what he's willing to do for their sake. And I also know that he does hate the shedding of innocent blood. And he's a God of justice. And we're seeing that justice prevail today. I do also want to take a time to recognize that we were not just, up against odds with the pro-abortion advocates, but let's take the time to appreciate what our Supreme Court justices were up against. I mean, there was a lot of buildup for this decision. And this has been building up for well over a month now, because this decision was actually leaked prematurely in an unprecedented manner. It was leaked, and that ended up putting the Supreme Court justices at risk. And it should have never happened. But I do think that this happened in an effort to intimidate the justices to reverse their decision. And I have to admit, I'm pretty delighted to see that those efforts failed. That even though they tried to pressure them, they tried to manipulate them, they tried to intimidate them, they did not waver. See, they protested outside of their homes. They firebombed pregnancy centers. They made death threats, and they even one man actually made an attempted assassination on Justice Kavanaugh. And that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. And that wasn't even news. That got buried almost immediately. And I just think, how is this getting buried? Like a Supreme Court justice had an assassination attempt on him. And it was news for 2 seconds, and then it was gone. But yet all of this happened. All these things happened, and yet their efforts still failed. They still failed. And I love how God can take what was meant for evil and he can work it together for good. And I believe they really thought that the leak would pressure the justices to change course. But I believe that only reinforced the justices' decision. They didn't change course. They didn't bow down to the mob. They stood in the face of tremendous adversity. And even now, there are threats of a night of rage. And I actually saw some videos prior to getting on here where they're following through on some of those threats. I saw them burning American flags, screaming, "Burn it all down." Pretty intense. And I predict it's going to get a lot worse. I've seen people call for acts of violence against the justices, call for them to be assassinated, and that is crazy. Like that is unhinged. That is not good, and we're not in a good situation when that happens. So we have to pray for these justices and pray for their safety and pray for their families and pray for the crisis pregnancy centers because they've also been firebombed. I think there's like 20 crisis pregnancy centers that have been vandalized in one way or another. But I guess the one takeaway is the mask is off. We see them for what they actually are, and it becomes very, very clear that these people will stop at nothing to hold on to this honestly barbaric act, and we cannot let them intimidate us. And the thing is, we aren't scared. We aren't intimidated because we know we aren't fighting for ourselves. We aren't fighting for our own rights. We're fighting for those who can't speak for themselves. And I really believe that many years from now, people are going to look back at this period of time in our country as just a stain in history for what we've allowed. Like we have allowed babies, unborn babies, to be murdered in the womb. Millions of them. History is not going to look back kindly on this day. People are going to look back wondering how people could have ever thought that this was okay. How could people be so callous? How could they possibly take the life of an unborn baby? So obviously we still have a lot of work to do. This is just the beginning. And I personally won't be satisfied until abortion is completely abolished. And I'm saying that out loud right now. Yes, I want to see abortion abolished. I believe that it is one of the greatest human rights violations the world has ever seen. And I can't just turn a blind eye as other human beings are senselessly murdered. I just can't. And it doesn't matter what state it's happening in. It's still horrible at the end of the day. But that's a battle for another day. Today is a day of rejoicing, of celebrating the victory of a 50-year-long battle. You know, it's days like today that give me hope that evil will not prevail. That if we stand firm, if we do what is right, God will come through. And it's something that we should take great solace in, especially since this world keeps getting darker and darker. We need to cherish these wins. We need to be grateful for these moments. We need to rest in that victory and celebrate that these lives now have a chance. These babies now have a chance at the most precious gift there is, life. So that'll do it for me for now. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is kind of my first test live on Instagram. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Like, follow, comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'm definitely curious to hear from you guys. I hope all of you have a blessed night. Thank you. Have a good one.